Like it's very tangible to feel
Yes.
that you have from before and after doing insulation.
We use cellulose insulation. Cellulose.
All set?
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to Woodbridge's Energy Challenge. This is our first meeting of this winter series of informational forums about our energy challenge. I want to thank Lisa Connor, who headed up our energy task force, and this group was charged with coming up with a proposal for the town where we could get more information about energy efficiency and about solar. So tonight's presentation will be energy efficiency, is that right?
That's right.
And there will be 2 additional meetings this winter on energy efficiency topics and insulation and different ways to make our homes more friendly to us during the year as the weather changes. I think these are very, very important issues for us here in Woodbridge. Some of us have older homes, and we certainly have extremes of weather. So this is a way we can go greener, we can save money, and really benefit ourselves and the town. One of the things I want to mention about these home energy audits is that the cost is subsidized by a charge we all pay on our electric bills, so it really pays for all of us to take advantage of it. And in addition, the company that will be presenting the information tonight makes a contribution to our town food and fuel fund, so we thank you for that. And we very much appreciate your presentation. Lisa, do you want to say a few words also?
Yeah, just very briefly. We have with us 2 companies, actually. We have New England Smart Energy and New England Conservation Services, who both provide these energy services. And we really appreciate Paul and Colin being here to share their expertise with us. And I also just wanted to thank the other members of the task force, Laura Ferrante and Don Kokel, and Betsy back there for everything she does to make all of this happen. Thank you all for coming out.
All right, I'll get you started, sort of a deal. So I wanted to start off I'm Paul, everybody. I'm Paul Weaver from New England Conservation Services. I'll be speaking tonight along with Colin from New England Smart Energy and Ashley, also with New England Conservation Services. So I put up here, I wanted to start off broadly and then ratchet down onto energy efficiency and what's offered through Home Energy Solutions, which is a program that you can do for your home through the utilities. But the main motivations that I can think of are financial. So here I got a little party laser here. So financial, the dollars, it's an investment that you make. When you use less energy, you spend less money, it pays for itself. So it's a good investment. Pollution, for those of us who are environmentally minded, we want to reduce our impact on the local environment, and by using less energy, that means you are burning less gas and oil, and going more towards clean energy solutions. And then comfort's another thing that is very, very important here when we're talking about energy efficiency. When you have a drafty house, we as humans are very sensitive to something called radiant temperature. So that means that if you're in a room that's 65 degrees, but the wall is 40 degrees and it's 75 degrees over here, we're sensitive to temperature differences and it does not feel comfortable. Whereas if you have a room that's 65 degrees and it's well sealed and it's 65 here, 65 there, 65 there, it feels much better than the other room. So these are my primary motivations for energy efficiency. There's more to it than that. There's health and security, but that is sort of covered more eloquently in some of the next slides. There we go. So, Colin, this is your slide. You want to talk?
Sure. I mean, this is basically if you're here, you kind of know what the program is about. We'll get into a little more details. But basically, like the First Selectman said, that this program is paid for by charges on your utility bills. So if you want to look on your utility bill, there's a line that says, special projects. I don't know the exact verbiage, but that money is what is subsidizing this program. And the utility companies that are involved are Yankee Gas, CNG, SNG, and then UI and CLMP. That's basically, a quick overview of it.
Bear with me on Butterfingers here. And the benefits?
Yeah, I mean, benefits, this kind of gets a little more specific. We had Paul talk about, overall comfort, which comfort can mean a lot of different things to different people. You could talk about the air sealing, you could talk about the lighting, you could talk about the water, so we'll get into a little more specifics, but overall comfort is one of the main things about, the benefits of getting the home energy assessment. Obviously reducing your carbon footprint, fighting climate control, and an overall general thing we like to say is you're going to be able to reduce your annual billage from these one energy assessment, roughly about $250. That's, maybe the low end per year. So that's not just this year, but that's next year and the year after. So just keep all those things in mind when, you're debating whether to have an energy assessment or not.
Everything is being covered by it. And so a lot of what I'll be talking about is the air sealing, as well as duct sealing. I kind of wrap that all into air sealing. These are all services that are provided through Home Energy Solutions, and I'll be able to go into details on that, as well as hot water saving measures. Ashley will be going into details on those. And then also lighting upgrades can be done in-house as part of energy assessment, and Colin will be talking about those, and he has a demonstration bar on the back. So those are actual LEDs back there with dimmer switches on them. So if you want to see what the light looks like from this new technology, Colin will go into. It's right there. All right, air sealing. Oh, okay, I'm up first. Okay. Most effective cure for home energy loss. So yeah, a lot of heat leaves your house through air. If it's cold outside, temperature likes to even out. So hot air likes to go outside. If it's hot outside and you're cold in your house, then the hot air likes to come in. Everything likes to balance out. And of course, we want it to be, if it's New England outside, we want it to be the Bahamas, inside. So before I talk about it, a lot of, and this comes from Department of Energy, you can see space heating is a huge part of what the average household uses energy on. And this is what I'm going to be talking about, and hopefully if you have a home energy audit on your home, that's the area that we're looking to improve. So just a quick diagram of a house. This is something that we call a pressure boundary. This is what you would call your conditioned space. This is the area that you want to keep the heat in during the winter, and keep the cool in during the summer. And then these other areas are your unconditioned space. So when it comes to air sealing, what we're trying to do is prevent air from going back and forth all through here, from going through your walls. So we're looking for areas where is the air escaping, and how can we stop it? What happens in your house is something called a stack effect. That's where cold air comes in, heats up in your house, and then hot air is lighter than cold air, so it rises, and it likes to go out, through the roof if it can. And that's where, if any of you have ice damming, icicles, this is probably the cause of it. And this is something that we want to fix. So let's get into some specifics of it. How do we find where the air drafts are coming from? Now, a lot of times you know it because you can just feel it. But there's other times where maybe a whole bunch of little cracks in the house, and it doesn't register as a draft that you can feel, but indeed heat is going out. And a lot of times, if If you get into people's attics, which a lot of us have done, a lot of times you'll find a little tiny hole, and it just feels like a blow dryer is blowing you in the face because all the heat's coming out through the house, right through that little hole. So one of our primary methods of finding air leaks in your house is something called a blower door test. You can see a picture of it right here. It's a fan that we put in the door to the outside, typically a front door. We turn it on, and it blows air out of your house. Now what that does is that forces all the air inside the house to come in through your leaks. This means that your leaks are exaggerated, and those little leaks that you might not have noticed, or say it's a moderate day, temperature outside and inside are about the same, so how do you know where the drafts are? This points it out for you. These things are also neat because they have a little a meter on it. You can see right here, it's called a manometer. It reads the pressure going through that fan. Every house has an ideal amount of pressure given its volume. And what we do is we try to get your house to that ideal pressure. And so typically most houses are above the pressure that they should be at, meaning that your house is draftier than it should be. This next slide I just threw in there to point out that if you have an older house and you have asbestos, so that's like this material right here, this particular asbestos is pretty dusty. A lot of times it's more white looking, but then we would not run a blower door test because we would not want the particles from that to get airborne. It's considered a hazardous material. If you've ever seen it under a microscope, it looks like a little hook, and so on a molecular level it just gets in there and digs in and could give you cancer. So we don't run the blower door when we see that. However, our field technicians have been in thousands of homes, so they can, without a blower door test, pretty much know from experience where your drafts are likely to come from. And there is a fair amount of air sealing they are allowed to still do through the program. Okay, so let's see what a typical air penetration looks like. So, how many of you have attics? Just about everybody. Okay, so if you've ever spent time up in your attic and you have an older house, this is a common occurrence that you'll see, which is the top. This is your wall. This is where the wall meets the roof line, and what this is just empty space going down the wall. This is one of those areas where when the house is drafty and and it's a very cold day, if you want to visit your attic, most people don't want to go up there when it's cold out, but if you want to put on a coat and go visit it, you actually might feel warm air coming up at you through something like this. So a typical solution, and this is paid for through the program, part of the $99 copay, is something like that. So for smaller penetrations, we would just use this stuff right here, the foam. For a larger penetration, like what you saw right there, this stuff right here, it's a rigid foam board, and then we do foam around this. Now you could do this on your own. You don't have to do it through the program, but we already have all the materials and the experience, so you might as well have companies like ours come out. But if you're a do-it-yourselfer, this is the basic idea. Yes.
Do you wrap electric water heaters?
No, we don't wrap electric water heaters. We that's not paid for through the program. What we do is on water heaters are.
It's also usually they don't wrap electric water heaters because based on how new it is, or a lot of water heaters are already insulated. So by wrapping a water heater, it could cause some problems with the water heater. So usually we don't recommend wrapping a water heater. I used to work in water heaters, so usually it's not a good idea to wrap a water heater, because usually the newer ones, or even from starting 96, I believe, with most of them are already insulated. So you don't want to wrap a water heater now, for the most part. But we don't do that in the program now.
We do pipes though. pipes coming out of it. We're allowed to, through the program, put up to 9 feet of pipe wrap on. So that helps prevent the heat from escaping through the pipes. Okay, so I wanted to show you soffit vents. This is a diagram. The reason I wanted to do that is because we want to stop airflow in your conditioned space. So I go back to this guy right here. Your conditioned space, we want to stop the air from penetrating in. But you do want your unconditioned space here to breathe a little bit. And that's so that you don't have moisture problems in the future. So you can see in this diagram here, they have this sort of ridge gable vent thing here. Very, very typically, you'll have a ridge vent across the top of your roof if you've had your roof redone anytime in the last 15, 20 years. And you'll have these little vents on the side that allow air to come through. Now, air can also wind wash your insulation, so to do a proper insulation job when you have soffit vents is to put these guys in. These are called proper vents. They allow the air to go right over your insulation and not affect that. And we'll go deeper into insulation at the insulation workshop, which is on February 3rd, for those of you interested in doing insulation for your home, or we're an available resource if you have questions about insulation. I can answer to the best of my abilities. Okay, another typical area for air sealing is in the basement. So a lot of times what happens is the heat coming off of your appliances, or cold air coming in through the unconditioned space of the basement will find penetrations in the basement and either draw the warm air out, or a lot of times take all that hot air that was produced in the basement, and instead of keeping it in the house, it'll just shoot up a chimney chase. So much like sealing in the attic, sealing in the basement is also very beneficial. And this is just an example. So you see flashing, which is this aluminum stuff here, and then fire foam. So it's a slightly different kind of foam. It's heat rated, so if you're going against pipes or going against chimney, then you want to use a different foam than like what we showed in previous examples. And once again, all our guys carry those on their vans. So if you want to use our services, there you go. Now there's pipe penetrations are also a very common area of air leakage around the house. So if you got a plumbing penetration, wire penetration, this stuff, it doesn't look great, but it does a great job. It will prevent air from going back and forth, and that's one part foam. Also, typically, drafts will be coming from around windows and doors. I'm sure a lot of you have felt that. So what we'll do is typically if there's small cracks, you're talking about caulking, just a bead of caulk around the frame. If your door or your window doesn't fit perfectly in its frame, then we can put some weather stripping around that, and once again keep the air from going back and forth. So we'll make a tighter seal on your house. And then, how many people here have ductwork? You have ductwork like central air or furnace blowing air? Right. So ductwork can also be a source of draft. If you had ductwork in the attic and I was to go in there and poke a hole, then that means that heat and everything will start going up and through. So any ductwork in a unconditioned space, if it's not perfectly well sealed, if it has leaks around the joints or very common area, then once again that's an area where you're losing heat or AC in the summer. If you got holes in those, that means that you're going to be heating your attic or your basement, or you're going to be cooling your attic or your basement, and we don't want that. So we run a test on your ductwork, and if we find it to be leaky, this is the solution. Once again, another compound that our technicians carry. It's called mastic. Does a nice job of sealing up the small holes. Once again, doesn't look too pretty, but we're also doing these things in unconditioned spaces where you're not hanging out. And all these little measures are drops in the bucket that all add up to a lot in terms of comfort and, as Colin was pointing out, savings. And by the utilities numbers, an average of $250 per year per home, and that's just the measures that we do in the home. All right, lighting will be next.
Okay, so let's just dive right into it. Lighting, there's two differences basically now that we're stepping into energy efficiency future. Incandescent lights are basically, we don't use them. They're inefficient. They use 80% of their electricity and usage to create heat and not light. So not only is it not efficient, but you could be using heat where you don't want heat. So anyway, so the new in the future are CFLs, even more so LEDs. CFLs are compact fluorescent lights. They do have mercury in them, so if that is an issue to anybody, you know that you have to be conscious of that. They are efficient to the point where you're going to use about roughly 60 to 80% less electricity versus an incandescent light. Then you can do even a more step up for an LED. Then you kind of get into what you like. You know, LED is a different light than a CFL. So I'll mention what is included in the assessment. So what you get with your $99 assessment are 25 CFLs and 4 LEDs. So those are, you know, of no extra charge to you. If you'd like more bulbs during your assessment, you can ask the vendor, you know, if you could purchase them. But with the assessment, you get 29 light bulbs automatically. And that's not us giving you the light bulbs, that's us taking out your old one, installing your new one, so you don't have to go through the process of that. I'll just ask now, does anyone have any questions on lights? I mean, we'll only take a few, but.
How do you dispose of the CFLs?
The mercury, you have to dispose of them. They're on every box. It'll either direct you to a website or something like that of how to dispose it, or your local dump or anything has an area that you can drop them off at. But yes, you always have to be conscious. You can't just throw them in the garbage and not worry about them. And I also have, like Paul said before, a display in the back. All of the LEDs we offer are dimmable. That is not the case with the CFLs. You have to be conscious of that when you're thinking about which ones you want to upgrade. You also have to be conscious with the new LEDs versus compatibility with old dimmers. Sometimes the old dimmers will not work completely right with the new LEDs, so just keep that in mind as well. But feel free to go and play around with the lights. It's all dimmable. There's different kinds. Yep.
Are you going to give people a choice of the soft LEDs versus the bright LEDs?
Right. That is something that we would always suggest you tell us, when you're booking your appointment, kind of ask about it, and we can adjust accordingly and put the right bulbs on the van for your day of the assessment. But yes, always ask about it. We do have those options. There's also, there's a couple of different styles back there, but you have just the regular bulb light. You have a globe, which usually goes above a mirror or in a bathroom. You have the kind of recessed bulbs, which actually this is a great example. All of these are recessed cans in lighting, but these were obviously a little older, not the newest kinds. And if you can see, these are the types that you can take the bulb in and out. Basically what that means is that you have a hole in your ceiling. So they have 30 holes in the ceiling that the air that you can hear is constantly pumping is going straight up into there and into wasted space. So you can see in the back we have, and everybody in the program has a new type of sealed benefit recessed can as well. It's an LED, fully dimmable, and what the difference is, it'll sit flush with the ceiling, and you can check it out afterwards, but you can't take the bulb out. You'd actually take the fixture out. So the fixture is completely sealed with the ceiling. So you're getting not only a new LED benefit, but you're getting the air sealing benefit as well.
So with the older type canisters that go up in the ceilings.
Yep.
Will you provide insulation for them?
Right. We always, especially recessed cans, if we take them out, we wouldn't put something in there without making sure that it was safe, healthy, all certified and everything like that. So anything that we do electrical, we'll make sure, and all of our technicians are BPI certified, so they know what they're doing when they go in there. Another thing I'll mention is we do leave you all of your old bulbs. So, if you don't like the new bulbs that are in there for some reason, or you just want to change it out with your old ones again, you can do that. We leave them all with you. So that's, a nice thing to always have as backup too, if you want. As far as lighting, you can keep going and going, but.
Do you have to dispose of those in any particular way?
The what?
The LED lights? Do you have to dispose of
not
those
that I
in
know
any
of.
particular way?
Do you know of any?
They're just light emitting diodes, it's just
Yeah.
electrical parts, so there's no special.
We'd always suggest to find a way to recycle them, but you don't necessarily
No
need to do
hazardous
something.
material.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But in the CFLs, is that hazardous? Then you have to take care of that, right? The mercury?
Yeah, that has
Yes.
mercury in it, so we can't
Yeah.
dispose that in regular garbage.
On a recessed light, what's the equivalent lighting wattage, I guess?
It's a 65 watt equivalent. Most 60, 65. They're ranges. So, that's something that before your assessment, you would ask us, hey, do you carry, a 40 watt equivalent or something like that?
I was watching This Old House this weekend, this past weekend.
Uh-huh.
They had one that you just screwed in right in the socket.
Okay.
And it was pretty nifty, but I have some 200 watt bulbs in the basement.
Yeah.
And they were saying these are a lot brighter. 65 watt equivalent.
Well, sometimes you could be putting too much wattage in there from the beginning. So, you might not need a 200 watt bulb to get the same light that you need, you know what I mean?
In a particular area it is.
Okay, yeah, no, then that's fine. My best suggestion would be to, get the assessment, and at the assessment, we can try different bulbs, different lights, and say, that's not the right one, or, yeah, that'll work, why don't we put all those in?
But basically, 65 watt is about the largest.
I've seen 70.
100, we have 100.
Yeah, I've seen 100. I haven't seen 200. I don't know, we'd have to look into that. Is it like a halogen or a floodlight?
This was a light that goes on top of those ceramic basement pull string.
Okay. We'll have to look into it. We could talk
You
afterwards.
Just spin it on and it sits there. It looks
Yeah.
like a finished light.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll have to look into that, but I can get you an answer.
And also, Home Depot has a bin that you can drop off the CFLs.
Okay, there you go.
So that's another convenient place if you want to get rid of your old ones. And if they break, the EPA has directions on procedure
On how to clean it up.
On how to clean it up.
Which is pretty easy. You just take a wet rag and you take 2 wet rags, one over your face and one to sweep up the bulb, and then you throw it in your garbage can and you take the garbage bag outside so that you're not breathing that in. Also opening up all your windows when it breaks.
Right.
So it's pretty easy.
Yeah. So it's mercury in gas form, not like the little beads that you would have in the thermometer.
Right. So now,
I signed this program, but there are 2 months now, nobody contacted me.
oh, okay. Well, we can get it
Contact
done.
us.
Yeah.
The window guy come my home this week, he told us we can send the program.
Mhm.
2 months now, nobody contacted me.
Wasn't any of us, I'll tell you
Yeah.
that much.
We'll call you right away.
We'll get you signed up, don't
Well,
worry.
he's come from the Home Depot, the guy for the windows.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. You
That
can sign
was-
up here though, and we'll be able to take care of that for you.
Really?
You said they were at Home Depot?
Yeah, Home Depot have guy do the windows.
Yeah. I know.
Forgot his
I know what
name.
you're talking about.
He told us we can go to program $99.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. We'll help you out. We'll get you set up.
Okay. So what I'm talking about here is hot water measures. And the hot water measures that we do throughout the home to help you reduce your energy savings is low flow shower heads, faucet aerators, and we wrap up to 9 feet of hot water pipes. Water heating can account to between 12% and 18% of your utility expenses, which is a good amount when you think it's just hot water that you're using that energy for. It's one of the largest energy hogs in your home. So to try to reduce this, the first thing we're going to talk about is low flow shower heads. And what that is, 43% of your hot water bill is attributed to how much water you actually use, or hot water you actually use. So the way that we reduce that, the first one is shower heads. The most common, like the common shower heads that most people have are 3.5 gallons per minute. We'll switch that over with a low flow shower head, which is usually about 2 gallons per minute. So that way, if you take a average 15-minute shower, the one occupant taking the shower will, over the course of the year, will use 19,162 gallons of water. If you switch over to a 2 gallon per minute shower with that same 15-minute shower over the course of the year, you'll use about 10,950 gallons. So just by switching your shower head, that one person will be saving 8,212 gallons. So how does that translate to savings? Well, it translates because you're not going to be heating as much water, where your fuel cost is going to be attributed to that. So there you go, you're saving money through reducing your water usage. And then the second is the faucet aerators, which attaches to the ends of your faucets, and that will reduce your water usage through your faucets about 1 gallon per minute as well. So between the both of those, it'll make a major dent in your water usage and lower your water heating cost. So keeping your water hot longer is also another reason, or another way to lower your energy usage for your hot water, and that by wrapping up to 9 feet of your water pipes, if they're not already wrapped, will do that as well. So that way your hot water is staying warm instead of having to be reheated by your water heater. And yeah, and so by doing those 3 things, which is included in the home energy assessment, we'll be able to reduce your energy cost and save you on water too.
Whoa, insulation.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all part of a greater effort called the Woodbridge Energy Challenge. What that involves is there's a solar component to this. Obviously, there's the home energy assessments and the donation that we give to the food and fuel bank. But additionally, if you need insulation, then our companies have negotiated with your task force to offer very transparent and low prices for insulation, and additionally to provide rebates in addition to what the state offers. So first I should talk about the state insulation offer, which is just incredible. It's up to 50%. So if you insulate your home, you're talking about a check for 50% coming back to you after you've insulated. So right there, even though it's something that's worth doing on its own for comfort and energy savings, pays for itself usually within 5 years. This cuts that in half. So now you're talking about something that was going to pay you back in 5 years, now pays you back in 2.5 years. It's better to put money into insulation and energy saving on your house than to say put it into an IRA or a retirement account, because the return on investment is not as good. Just to go through the quick incentives there. So if you're weighing your options for your house, should I remodel my kitchen or should I insulate my house? Insulate it first, because that's going to start paying you back and you're going to be able to save up quicker to do your kitchen. Whereas if you did it in reverse, nah, Now it's just taking you longer because you're busy paying off your oil bills, your oil and electric bills.
And you're cold.
And you're cold on top of that.
How long?
Yeah, your sweaters get worn out. This is for your sweater budget.
How long has the state been doing this?
The 50% since about 2013. They've had rebates before that, but they only got so sweet as that in 2013. They continued at 2014, and then this year they're also continuing it.
Is solid insulation included?
Solid insulation?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if it you mean like the
Square stuff.
yeah rigid foam board stuff? Yeah, as long as it meets a certain R value. So as long as you're saving a certain amount of energy, then that meets it. And we've done plenty of foam.
Included window too?
There's a window rebate. It's only for it's not as good. it's for if you have single pane windows without storms.
It's just included attic or the wall?
Attic and walls are 50% or up to $1 per square foot. At the prices we're offering, it's 50% because our prices aren't that high. So walls and attic, you're talking about 50%. And then for basements, it's 50 cents per square foot, which usually works out to around between 30 and 50%, depending on how much work there is to do there.
If you don't know how much work or don't know if you need insulation, that's also another part of the assessment. We help you identify and find those opportunities for you, whether it be appliances, HVAC, windows, insulation. So we help you with that and also qualify you for the rebates. So before you even do any of the work, you know what you need, you know where you need it, you're getting this advice from an energy efficiency company, and you know what rebates you'll be able to take advantage of. Sorry, just one.
And those rebates, we would like you to use them on us, but if you do, you can use it on whoever you want, any insulation company, as long as they put in the proper amounts of insulation. So this rebate is good, and it doesn't tie you down necessarily to us. But there are good reasons to go with us. One of the reasons is transparent, low pricing, $1.33 per square foot. For Woodbridge, we don't offer this to other towns. And then additionally, we're also giving a rebate back. Our companies are giving a rebate based on participation. So the more people in Woodbridge that participate in putting insulation in their house, the larger percentage that we give back, and it's straight to you, the customer. So that tops out at 12%. So if this campaign kicks off very well, we insulate lots of houses, then you're looking at potentially up to 62% of your insulation investment coming back to you right away in a check. Not even talking about energy savings or comfort, just a check right back to you.
If you want to use the state program, how do you apply?
We have sign-up sheets in the back. You have to go through the Home Energy Solutions program or Home Performance with Energy Star. Home Energy Solutions is a little easier because it's just a $99 copay and there's not a lot of paperwork. But if you've had Home Energy Solutions before and it was a couple years ago, they won't let you participate again. However, there is Home Performance with Energy Star, and I would recommend doing that because they're huge incentives. And then also by going through these programs, you're opened up to financing as well. And financing is an important way to make sure that you don't sap your entire house budget to put in, insulation or some major upgrade. You can actually do it at, you can see up there, there's even 0% financing, which is basically free money. That's a case where it's better to finance than to actually pay the whole thing out of pocket. Thank you, Ashley.
Now, what is your lead time in response to a request?
Lead time in response to what?
A request for an audit?
It usually takes us, we're booked out for like 3 or 4 weeks right now.
Yeah.
You booked out
We're
for about
scheduling
that.
the
Yeah.
first week of February right now.
Okay.
Right.
Is there an optimal time during the year
Well,
Well, anytime's good, but
yeah. Optimum, people
Think
do,
about it more.
yeah, they think because it's cold and
Right.
they want to save on heating and stuff, but whether you do it on January 1st or June 1st, it really doesn't make a difference. The blower door is bringing in air, doesn't matter if it's cold or hot. you know, it really ultimately doesn't matter.
Can I ask you a question? Is there any sort of health issues with a house that's too closed?
Yes. So if your house is too closed, you are at risk of moisture, because we're all breathing, you're boiling pasta, you're taking showers, so you're putting moisture into the air. If your house doesn't breathe enough, that moisture creates humidity, which can lead to mold, which then can lead to breathing problems. So that's why our technicians are looking at the optimum level. We don't want to get you below
There's a minimal ventilation.
Yeah, we call it a minimum ventilation guideline. So if we go into your house, run a blower door test, and it says that your house is very tight, we're not going to do any more air sealing. We're going to say, no, you really shouldn't do that because you'll put yourself at risk. There is a little faction of building science that says you want your house so tight that when you open the door, the toilet flushes. Now, in those cases, you can do that, but you have to do, it's called mechanical ventilation. So you actually have to have a device that does air changes so that you don't end up with moisture issues. Those homes are homes built like that are very efficient. Me personally, I'd worry, what if the power went out? You know, like a hurricane came through, and then the next week, you know, it's usually in the summer, and the next week it's humid, and what did I just do? So I'm a little wary of that that section of building science, but fortunately that's not what our companies adhere to. We think that every house should breathe a certain amount. And so the answer is yes, and there are ways to prevent that. Namely, the blower door tells us, you know, is your house too drafty or not drafty enough? Yes?
Can I get 2-part spray foam?
2-part spray foam?
Like
it can be arranged. It's usually part of
through the program they provide rebates.
Through. Yes and no. It depends on like what the payback would be on it. So if it's something where it cuts down the draft significantly, then we would want to do 2-part foam as part of the program. If it doesn't cut down the draft and it's only for thermal reasons, then we would make it part of the insulation proposal, in which case you'd be paying for it outside of the program. So it depends on the results.
It's not off the table.
Yeah, it's not off the table. No.
I have another one. Do you guys use IR cameras to find leaks?
Oftentimes, it's not a standard part of the program, but sometimes it's a good way to find sort of the mystery leaks. Usually, it tells you what the blower door test already tells you. Also, IR cameras can give you false negatives. There's been times we pointed it at a house and said that house needs insulation, torn down the walls, and there's insulation already there. And it was just that the temperature difference was so great that it was coming through the walls but not the studs, and it made it look like it was empty. So, and then IR cameras can also, if the sun was, if you're doing it from the outside, the sun was hitting a certain spot, that will look like there was heat loss. Or if you have a baseboard right there, it will look like there's heat loss when there isn't. They're fun when you're on the inside of the house as well. Sometimes you can see air penetrations beneath insulation, stuff that you wouldn't normally feel by just putting your hand out there or even using a smoke stick. So there are times that the camera is helpful, but for the most part it's not part of the standard program, and just because of the way it can mislead you, it tends not to be used. But there are instances where it makes sense, and we have IR cameras, and if you arrange it ahead of time, we schedule it to be along with the audit.
Are there any more slides? I know we have to get others soon. We get questions if anyone has any.
Do we have other slides?
Nope.
Health and safety issues.
We covered that.
Yeah, we covered that. Follow-up measures. Next steps. Well, insulation was a big next step. Okay, I mean, can you guys think of other next steps?
Build a new house.
New construction. There actually is a program through the utilities. If you build your house right, they'll incentivize you for doing so. So if you want to build a new house, contact us. But other things, and also going through this this Woodbridge Energy Challenge, your heating system. If you've got an old, tired heating system, it's not going to be as efficient as it could be if you bought a new one. All the same. Anything that you've taken away from this also applies to heating systems. They can pay for themselves, switching from one heating system to another. Plus, you're also, reducing the chance that it breaks down on you, and also making sure that you have a warranty on your new system. So that's another step. And then also putting solar panels on your house. That's less about energy retention and more about energy production. But it provides the same kind of security as energy efficiency if electric prices go shooting up, which are already going up.
Oh yeah.
If you protect yourself against future price shocks. So if you have a good house for solar, there's a solar program also going as part of this energy challenge. And if you have any questions about it, or if you're interested, direct them to us, and we'll get you to the company that's also negotiated with the task force to be Woodbridge's solar provider. And just a quick rule of thumb: if your roof has no trees in front of it and it's facing roughly south, it can be a little east and a little west. That's a good roof for solar.
Can you talk about the kitchen table conversation that you do after the assessment?
Oh yeah. So at the end of the assessment, we don't just say, "All right, you're good. We're out of here." We go over what our findings are.
Yeah, basically, and then after the assessment, you'll get email, mail, however you guys have to work it, a report, a nice, organized report with all of our recommendations. So you'll see, you have this kind of insulation and this much now. We recommend this. This is how much roughly it could save you if you do this upgrade. And we do that with all of our recommendations. So if we recommend windows, we'll have that report in there as well. And basically, then the ball's in your court. There's no pressure to do any of the upgrades. You don't have to be in the program or anything like that. But we provide you with the recommendation, so you know what you need, how much, everything like that. We provide you with what rebates you are eligible for, so you know. And then also, if we can't provide the work, insulation or HVAC or something, we have a list of subcontractors that we've always worked with, and they're respected and reputable throughout the community, so we can provide those access for you as well.
Talk about how much money you will save, but you don't talk about how much it will cost. So
$99. Oh.
The insulation in your report, what we need.
That we give a rough estimate as well, but then that's just off of it's a very rough estimate. So obviously our follow-up would be to recommend you to get an insulation quote from an actual insulation company and get real measurements and real numbers. But you have a rough estimate to go off of.
And you are one of those in the stable of insulation vendors?
We're both home energy assessment vendors, and then there's not really, we do.
Are you general contractors for a project?
Yeah. Technically, if you go ahead.
No, are you both or?
Well, we're two different companies.
Okay.
So they're like the general contractors. They do the home energy solutions, but then for insulation, windows, heating, they have like a stable of contractors.
Okay.
That will do a good job for them. We are in a similar boat, except that we also do insulation. So I sit next to the guy that actually goes in and blows insulation in your house. So
But you're in the insulation niche then.
And home energy assessments. So,
right. But I mean, as far as any other kind of work that needed to be done.
Yeah, it would be over my head, and I would so if you wanted to do put in a new central air system, I wouldn't even begin to guess like what the proper size system is for you and that sort of thing. No, you can't fake that.
Yeah, but you know, the technicians that do the energy assessments, they are very knowledgeable. So if you do have, you know, certain questions, they might not be able to give you the long answer, but they can guide you to, you know, a right direction at least. Because I know my parents had an old HVAC system that they wanted replaced, and they had no idea where to start. So that's exactly where they started. They asked the technician. The technician's already in the house. He already sees, you know, all the equipment, so he can make an educated and energy-wise recommendation.
So how much is the $99 covers the energy?
I was gonna hope that everyone was gonna stay. I'll just quickly, there's a card back there that also has kind of everything that we do, but I'll go it kind of quickly. What is included in the $99 assessment? So you get the blower door test. That's pretty much, well, first we do a health and safety checkup, check if there's any asbestos, vermiculite, mold, anything like that. After that's all clear, we'll do the blower door test. We will find, you know, that measurement, make sure it's not below the minimal ventilation. Then we go and do all of our air sealing techniques that we showed, that Paul, you know, so eloquently showed you. Then, you know, we replace the light bulbs, so you have up to 29 light bulbs before you can purchase any. Those are included in the assessment. Those we can replace and install throughout your home for you. We evaluate all your appliances, your HVAC systems, your insulation, your windows. That's part of it as well. And at the end of the assessment, we do a secondary blower door test, which will show us right then and there the amount of air reduction that we got in your home. So the first blower door will show you, and then you'll see, oh, we reduced the airflow by doing all of our techniques by this much. You also have water saving measures that we can install for you. So all of those things are included in the $99. No extra costs or anything like that. Yep.
And all these things you just mentioned, what's the approximate time frame, the whole visit?
We say on average 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, depends on the size of the house and, you know, a couple of different things, but
yeah. So I've seen an assessment go 3 days, but that's not typical. You know, and 2 hours on the short end, just a, you know, a quick checkup, a little, you know, a door sweep here, a light bulb there, and hey, you know, your house is good. Yeah. But for the most part, they're usually around 3 to 4 hours.
Usually done in the same day. I mean, there's sometimes you spread it out over a couple of days.
The only times that we've done over 2 days before, and that would be like if we went into your house and we tested your heating system and noticed that you had high carbon monoxide, for example, right? So we wouldn't seal up your house when you have high carbon monoxide. We'd say, hey, you need to get this taken care of. But if you're very serious about getting it taken care of, then we'd say, okay, well, we can do the other stuff. We can change your light bulbs while we're here. We can take care of your hot water measures. We can change out some shower heads and some aerators. And then once this problem is taken care of, we'll come back and do the air sealing. So there are times that it happens over 2 days, but it's not typical. It's usually 1 day. And if you're interested in signing up, we have little sign-up cards in the back. Yeah, and if you just want to probe us for information, we're basically we're office guys. We're chatting with you on the phone all day. So if you want to talk energy, talk to us. And if you want to set up an assessment, we'd love to take a look at your house and see what we can do for you.
And keep in mind, signing up for an assessment gives a donation, well, completed assessment, once you go through with it, gives a donation back to the Woodbridge Fuel and Food Bank. So, win-win-win.
Thank you.
Thanks. And cookies and donuts, etc., provided by United Illuminating. So.